I don't think people fully understand how much of an emotional toll that took on a lot of people. We are so far away and so detached from everyone else. It makes us that more hungry, and why we want to represent PWA.
Welcome back to Grapple Theory. Thanks so much for joining us once again. And once again on the show, it's becoming a regular thing now. We're heading back to Australia with another Aussie champion. It is the Tuckman, PWA, Soul of PWA Champion at the minute. Tuckman, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you for having me on. I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be on Grapple Theory. I've seen a few of our guys who've jumped on here, so it's a fantastic opportunity to jump on board and have a chat.
No, it's great to have you here. Yeah, we love a bit of Aussie wrestling over here, so it's fantastic to have you on. Talk to me about, well, I was going to say about your last 12 months, because that's what we always start with our guests. It's been a pretty wild year for you, hasn't it? Like August to August. I feel like maybe just before last August is when this sort of momentum started for you and you were gaining traction and things were happening. And now you're the Soul of PWA Champion again.
I would argue that probably 2 years ago, I had a bit more steam, and around a year ago, it kind of, it actually went into a bit of a dip. We had a show in April last year with PWA, and I had a match with Robbie Eagles, and after that, for about 6 months, I didn't really do much. I had a lot of fun with my tag team partner, but it's been really 2025 where things have really picked up ahead of steam, and, I think I've really come into my own.
So talk to me about it from that perspective, from your perspective of that. Can that be a little frustrating in a way when you've got this momentum and you feel like it dipped off for a bit and you're like, oh, what do I do next when you have that moment?
Yeah, I guess especially because when I first started, I had a lot of momentum quickly, and I thought it would only keep going up and up and up and up and up. And I guess to feel a bit of a dip for a little bit was very jarring because I hadn't had that yet. But I think I had it a lot earlier than a lot of people, and to have that was, really nice because now I'm on the other side of it, and, I'm the Soul of PWA Champion, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure. It's been, like you said, even discounting the 12 months, again, like you say, started 2025, it's been a crazy 8 months for you. Obviously, again, you were starting to feel that momentum, the crowd getting back on your side. And then you win the Rumble. And then you get your match, and then it all culminates again, just a few weeks ago when you win the title off Robbie. And you and Robbie have had these incredible matches in the past. That must be something that's so rewarding to know that there's someone out there like Robbie, who's such a legend of the scene, not just the Aussie scene, who you can have these incredible matches with.
Yeah, I think that I have fulfilled every young Aussie wrestler's dream to, not only just wrestle someone like Robbie, but to have not one but two matches that people would consider pretty good matches with someone of that stature. And, I'm very proud to say that, but also I work very hard for it. So, the opportunity's out there for every young Aussie wrestler. You just got to get after it.
Yeah, I feel like, you say pretty good matches. That match especially, the last one you had a couple of weeks ago, I thought that was phenomenal. I thought you two were just so in sync there. Which is, again, it must be a really validating feeling as a wrestler who's trying to climb the ladder, who's trying to get more reps, who's trying to do more. To know that you can mix it with someone like Robbie must be this is, I can do more here.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, I appreciate you, the kind words about the match. And look, I've received obviously some nice words from fans and fellow peers and whatnot about the match, which is really nice to know. But there's only so much time that you can sit around and pat yourself on the back with these kind of things. I'm just looking towards the future. So, I'm very happy with how it went down, but, the next thing that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, for sure. So what is the next thing? Obviously, you've got the title now. What does the future hold at the minute for this Tuckman?
There's so many things, especially with the Soul of PWA Championship. Robbie Eagles made this a world championship. He defended it in the United States. He held it on New Japan TV. He had it for over a year over there, had so many appearances. And I guess this championship is a different championship to the one I held back in October of 2023. It means a whole new thing now. So for me, it's really about carrying on the legacy that Robbie left it with. And I don't know where I got to go or who I got to defend against, but I'm not going to give myself the easiest target. So, hey, this is kind of an open challenge here on Grapple Theory. If you're an international wrestler, you want to tee something up, I'll come to you. You want to come over to Australia, Soul of PWA Championship is the belt you want to be fighting for, and I'm the guy that you got to beat.
Hell yeah. No, I love it. I love it. I mean, that's definitely going to be out there. And the thing is that, like you say, Robbie started that. It's up to you to continue that. Which means you're going to have to, you might have to get on a plane and come out over to America, over here to the UK. Like, there's plenty of good wrestlers over here who I'm sure would love a crack at that belt.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the UK is a big one on the list. I mean, the UK's got some fantastic wrestlers over there who I'd love to mix it up with, and who probably, probably deserve a championship shot at something so prestigious like the Soul of PWA, and I think that could definitely mix it up on the UK scene. So who knows? We'll see. We'll see how the bank account goes. If I can snag a plane ticket soon enough, and I'll come over there.
Mate, you definitely should. You definitely should. And the fact is that, like, again, I mean, I feel like just generally, like, the vibe you put out, your character as a wrestler, like, who you are, I feel like that would fit in really well over here, just personally. Like, especially, like, just from second one with the entrance music, like, the UK crowd would go mad for a bit of Chelsea Dagger. That would be incredible. Like, it would be.
Yeah, I only found out recently that it's like a bit of a cult classic over there in the UK, and I was like, oh yeah, when we go over there and do it, it's gonna go off.
It genuinely would. Like, it's like, yeah, I feel like there's such a similarity. I think, like, the closeness in comparison between the Aussie crowd and the UK crowd is the closest. I don't think UK crowds are like American crowds very much. But I look at, like, the Aussie crowds and I'm like, this is the UK crowd. This is exactly how a UK crowd would act.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, coming over to the UK would be nice. I obviously know a lot of people who've been to the UK. My tag partner went over there recently, and the way that everyone speaks about, not only the fans, but the wrestlers over there, it sounds like home away from home. So, it's somewhere I've been itching to get over to, and, now might be the right time to go and do it. So
I was going to say with the amount of time she's over here, you could just hop in Chebs's bag next time she comes over. But I mean, you'd have to side with North Shore, and that's probably not the best move.
No, I wouldn't be traveling over with her. No way, no chance.
What do you make of all that? It's been a pretty weird time in PWA. Again, like, obviously it's been a good few months for yourself, but for the company, it feels like it's been, well, I don't want to say a downer, but it feels like North Shore are taking over a bit. It feels like it's become very much North Shore versus everyone else.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't think people fully understand how much of an emotional toll that took on a lot of people. Like, obviously, people know how much it affected Jessica Troy, but, Charlie Evans was my mate, and, we hung out together, we'd go to parties together, but, like, there's so many things we used to do together. And then, like, one night she just, like, totally dogs everyone and, like, goes and hangs out with these two dickheads who go against everything what we believe in. I don't know. It was just like, that night really sucked for not just Jessica Troy, but a lot of people. And
yeah,
ever since then, it's like a lot of us have had trust issues. But, we're slowly building that back, and it's been nearly a year since it happened. So we're kind of recovering from it. But man, Charlie Evans, she's just like, she's a dog. That's all I can say. There's not much else to it.
That's the thing. I feel like that title you're holding at the minute is super relevant now, because I feel like, again, you're the soul of PWA at the minute, and that's at the minute the only belt that North Shore doesn't hold in the company. And you've got to now represent that. You've got to now push back, essentially.
Yeah, I guess that, like, I got to celebrate for a small moment. And even I think a few people thought that Will Kiedis was going to come out with his esky and try and cash in on me. But I know that he's a cat. He wouldn't have done that. He's too scared. He knows that I got too many mates there and that he would have got bashed. And that is like a weird moment for me, though, is I had that celebration after my match. And as soon as I got backstage, I'm like, all right, now I've got to look over my back, because I know that they've got everything else in PWA. So I don't really have a moment in PWA or on a PWA show to, truly relax and actually enjoy this championship reign. It's from now, I'm going.
Yeah, for sure. But that's smart. That keeps you vigilant, right? It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you at your best all the time.
Yeah, definitely. You could say that, like, I'm probably going to be better for it because I'll constantly be looking over every shoulder. But it would be nice to be able to sit back and relax for a little bit. But hey, we got to look at the positives, right?
And you say again, you talk about like sort of like the hurt of that chest turn again, because I feel like, again, you guys, you and Scott are very close with Jess as well. I feel like it seems almost in a way like she's like an unofficial dropout.
Oh yeah, you know what? You could call her a dropout. That's fine. I don't mind calling her a dropout. 100%. She's come out to Chelsea Dagger more than 2 or 3 times now. I think that, you know, she counts.
Submits that. It's like, yeah, you confirmed basically.
Yeah, 100%. No, she definitely is a dropout. She's one of us, and yeah, she's become very part of like big part of our identity and our culture, and that's why it hurt so much more when Charlie Evans did what she did. You know.
For sure. No, for sure. For sure. So in that case, I mean, like, with North Shore now taking over, I mean, like, obviously, I was going to say, can PWA fight back? Of course they can. Like, you look at the stacked talent you've got there on the roster, like, there's some incredible wrestlers you've got over there. Some, like, again, like I said before we were recording, I feel like the Aussie scene at the minute is one of the most underrated in the world. You look at the talent you've got there. And again, it, like, we've had Chev say it, we've had Jessica Troy say it, we've had Shay Cassidy say it in Kingsley. It's like, again, the drawback for you guys is purely the fact of location, isn't it? It's like you're so far away from everything else that if you guys were like 2 hours away from Europe or from America, I feel like the Aussie scene would be up there. People would be like talking about PWA like every day, every week, and it just seems a bit.
Yeah. From talent to production, look, I could sit here and complain about the reasons why we're not like more recognized. I could go on, and I think that, you know, we all could, because it is the reality that if we had a more densely populated area, we would be so much more well known. But at the end of the day, I think that is what makes us so hardworking and so driven, because we are so far away and so detached from everyone else. And we know that if we were anywhere else, you know, with a larger population or, you know, closer in traveling distance, it would be so much easier for us to be known in the world. But it makes us that more hungry, and why we want to like represent PWA whenever we travel overseas or show the whole world who we are.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like exactly like you say, it sort of puts that chip on your shoulders collectively to be like, you need to work that bit harder to prove who we are. We're gonna do that. And it feels like it is coming off now. It feels like more people are watching PWA from overseas and in Australia as well. It feels like you're gaining that traction. It feels like you're gaining that momentum, and that the company and obviously as a whole, the Aussie scene, because of that, is growing with it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that we're always growing traction and, you know, gaining movements online and in our fans. You know, we've sold out multiple shows this year, and, you know, I think that we're gaining a lot of new supporters of people who don't even know what independent wrestling is, which I think is really cool, because these people don't even really know what they're in for. They're just coming for a fun night. And that's the most important part, is people having fun, you know. I think that's the thing that PWA really lends well, is top tier professional wrestling, but also just having a fun night for the regular punter who doesn't really know what they're walking into. I think that they're the two worlds where we meet in the middle that no other independent wrestling company on the planet does.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Is when you can merge those two, when you can be not just for the hardcore wrestling fans, but like a night out for the office, like you say, like you've got coming up, like the Christmas party, like that's the perfect situation, isn't it? Because then you bring in the wrestling fans who are wrestling fans, you bring in the fans who aren't fans but become fans, and then keep going to shows.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it appeals to both markets, because, you know, if you're a wrestling fan, but also you get that little fun extra edge on your wrestling show, or you're not a wrestling fan, but you're like, for example, our December show is called Work Christmas Party, you know, kick-ons. And it's just like, why is a wrestling show called that? Let's go check it out. It looks fun and unusual. And yeah, it's just a fun little extra bit that everybody gets to get involved on.
No, for sure. No, I love that. And you guys are doing great. And that's the thing, isn't it? With PWA specifically, I sort of account it to, like, over here, say like your Rev Pros or your Progresses, where it's the fact that as the sort of like the biggest company in the country, when you're succeeding at PWA, everyone else then succeeds. It's like a trickle down effect, isn't it? Everyone else succeeds, because if the top company is succeeding, then everyone else benefits.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, you know, when one place is doing really well, whether it be ticket sales, online perception, you know, views online or whatever it may be, you know, people are always going to get more motivated for it, whether it's a competitive comparison or it's, you know, just seeing what someone else is doing and wanting to strive to be like that. I think that, yeah, definitely 100%.
No, for sure. Well, that brings us nicely into our first little side feature we have here on the show. And again, we've talked a lot about the good of Aussie wrestling. We've also talked about the bad with North Shore, so they can be named a lot in this, because this is a little feature we've got called Dishing the Dirt. I'm going to ask him some questions, and I want you to let me know which member of the locker room, not just PWA, anywhere you wrestle, but which member of the locker room best associates with that thing.
Okay, let's do it.
So the first one is who's always running late?
I got to call myself out here. I can be late sometimes, you know?
When you?
Me, yeah. Sometimes, I mean, I like to be punctual, but I mean, if there's someone's going to be late, it's probably going to be me.
Well, I'm glad you admit it. It's good to own up to it, right? It's good to own up to it. That's the first step. The next one is who has the worst music taste?
Oh. I know everybody would say Ricky South. People would say that. I don't mind it, but he's the first one to come to mind because everybody groans whenever Ricky chucks his playlist on.
Yeah, everyone does say Ricky South. Like, I can confirm. He's been said a lot. He's not going to be very happy with that, but he has been said a lot. The next one is outside the ring. Who has the worst dress sense?
I'm sorry, Kai Drake. Yeah, sometimes he just puts on some questionable outfits. I don't disrespect it, but you know, it's they're questionable.
I like that, again, for the music and for the dress, Kai and Ricky are the ones that just come up constantly.
I'm good, and I'm not the only person that has, you know, put this up. I feel bad because I know that other people are going to say this, but it's undisputable, you know?
Exactly, that's the thing. Is at least there's no question to it.
True.
The next one is my favorite on the list by far. It's I think it's very important as well. Who in the locker room would you, under no circumstances, let a family member date?
Oh, big brother Billy Preston.
Yeah?
Yeah, nah, he's just like, man, that guy. I mean, I like him, but you know, he's just like, you know, he's just one of those cheeky guys that you don't really, you know, he's got something up his sleeve that you don't know about, you know. I feel like he's got a double life or something, you know. He's a good dude. He's a brother, and you know, I trust Billy. I mean, I tagged him with him. I wouldn't wrestle against him because I wouldn't want him to hurt me. I wouldn't want to hurt him, but you know, there's something. I don't know. I feel like he got a bit of a dog, you know.
That indisputable quality that you're like, something there just doesn't.
Yeah. He'll
Dude, I think he'll agree, but you don't want him dating one of your family if that's like.
Yeah. I think that, you know, I'd find out something I don't want to know, you know.
Amazing. The next one is sort of like the opposite of the dress sense one. So, and this is a good one. I'm going to say you can't say Scott because I think it's too close. But like, again, you get to a show, you've forgotten your gear, and you need to rush back to the locker room and borrow someone's gear. But we're talking one size fits all. Like, you can pick whoever you want. Whose gear do you look at and you're like, Tuckman could definitely pull that up?
Great question. Oh, Ben Braxton's got some pretty cool gear.
He does.
I like Ben Braxton's gear, and you know what? He's a bit bigger than me, so it would be a little bit baggy on me, but I'd rather baggy than too tight, you know?
Yeah, a little bit of breathing room, right?
Yeah. And also, it's just cool. I mean, he's rocking some pink gear recently. I'd wear that.
Yeah. No, he does go a bit out there with it, which is quite cool, especially because like just in the color scheme also. Because like again in the design it's pretty standard, but like the colors he chooses are really like, and they suit him as well. He pulls it off brilliantly.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
Nice, I like it. The next one is who would throw the best party in the locker room?
Yours truly, baby. All the Tuckman. You know what it is, the dropouts. We actually had a party last year, Coliseum Prees, we called it. We hosted it and it was awesome. It was an epic party. There's actually a video on PWA's Instagram. You scroll back all the way to October 2024. We hosted a party. North Shore tried to crush it. It was a bit cringe, but yeah, I've got to say, me and Scotty, we would definitely host the best party.
I was going to say, I feel like a dropouts party is the way you want to be going, right? That's.
Yeah, only 4 people aren't invited to that, and that's North Shore Wrestling.
And I think that's wise, right? I think that's smart. You don't want the vibes to come down. Like,
yeah, not too much. I mean, you know, there's some guys on the roster that I don't really like them, and you know, they're not my mate. But also, like, you can come to the party. You know, like, yeah. I'm pretty open. There's only 4 people that aren't invited.
North Shore off the list.
North Shore, yeah,
it's outrageous. Unless until they change their ways, which seems unlikely at this.
That's not going to happen. It's so indented into their brains and the way they live, they'll never change.
Yeah, no, sure, I get it. And the final one is the most important one for sure. And again, feel like saying Scott might be a bit too obvious, but you also might not want him in this scenario. So it'll be interesting to see what you say. Who would you choose to be your partner in the zombie apocalypse?
You know what? Scott is an easy one. So let's eliminate Scotty. Scotty Green, I love you. You would be number one. He's a good survivor. I've got to get Corey Drake. I've got to be honest with you. I think that he's just got this good natural instinct about him. And I think that, he'd be able to get down and dirty. There would be jobs that people wouldn't want to do and he'd be willing to do them. And I think I could too. And I think we'd make a good duo in the zombie apocalypse.
No, I like that. I think that'll work. Kai's a bit of almost like the wild card in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to do something a bit crazy, probably.
I think that he would know how to do random things. I can imagine Kai Drake would be the type to, know how to build an underground tunnel or something like that. Just a random life skill that you definitely be applicable to the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, you're just sitting there and he's like, oh, I can do this. And you're like, what? How have you not mentioned this before?
Yeah. Definitely.
No, I like it. Well, that's the end of that because we got one more before we close. But before that, again, I want to take it back to, I know that you spoke about, again, you thought about having that dip last year and then coming back up this year. And I want to talk about in terms of that sort of where that rise started again for you in your mind, where was the moment where you felt the turning point? Where was the moment where you felt, oh, things are happening again?
I think it was when I went to America. Me and Scotty, we'd been tagging for a while after my, big singles loss against Robbie for the first time in April 2024. And we'd had a lot of success around the country, but in PWA specifically, we hadn't really won anything except for one match in December. And, we both went into America to try and revisit, how we could go about things. And speaking to Grayson Waller, both of us found, a lot of good advice off him. And I guess it was some good time to get away to just train and really hone in on everything. And that's when I came back and I knew that I could win the PWA Rumble. And from there, it really went guns blazing.
Yeah, for sure. How, in terms of that experience in America, how was that in terms of, like you say, it's sort of you get it, you just said it sort of gave you a boost, which is great. But in terms of being out there wrestling somewhere very different in terms of the crowds, in terms of what the shows are, and also just getting your name out there a bit more, how was that whole experience?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, the training was the main part for us. We got to train with Ace Steel at the Foundation of Pro Wrestling in Orlando, and their school and Ace Steel, he's one of the best trainers. I mean, I've had the pleasure of being under. He's on par, if not higher caliber of everything that we have here in Australia at PWA. And it was just so different for us, especially because their school is a lot smaller. It was we have a massive school here in Sydney, but Ace's school was only a couple of people. So every night we would go there and everyone there was just they were such hard workers. I can literally name them off. Eli Knight, Izzy Marino, AJ Rodriguez, Miller Moore, and JC Love were the five that would turn up almost every single night. And me and Scotty would go and train with them. It would be us seven, and Ace would just run the crap out of us and, make us work our asses off. And I love that because we were there every single night and there was no excuses. He would make us sweat and just keep running, but it was awesome. And I think that was a big thing that prepared us for when we came back over. The actual independent wrestling scene was, we got a couple of bookings here and there, but it was nice to know that, in a place where nobody knows who we are whatsoever, we could still get some good reactions and, prove that it's not just here in Australia that we can get people on their feet. It was elsewhere as well.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love that. And that's fantastic. And again, like you say, in terms of, again, making that rise again, come back, if you win the Rumble, what was that conversation like with the PWA guys? In terms of when you found out you'd be winning the Rumble and that feeling then standing tall at the end of it?
Yeah, I guess knowing you got to be in the ring for an hour is pretty stressful. And that whole day was very, 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 very stressful just because I don't think I'd even been in the ring for nearly half that long. Especially by myself, maybe in a tag match potentially or a 6-man or something, but by myself for that long, actually actively doing things. But, you know, I just really wanted to always be involved in making sure that, you know, everyone else's stuff is looking great. And, you know, we managed to pull it off. And, you know, by the end of it, I was pretty buggered, but I had a few shoeies in the ring and, you know, we made it all work. So.
And that must be again, like a rewarding feeling when, again, because it felt like you were the shoe-in to win it, because it felt like at that point, again, like you said, you worked your way back up, the crowd were on your side at that point. It felt like it just had to happen. And that must have been a nice feeling to know that, like, the crowd were behind you, but also that the company's behind you, that they validate that, like, you know, you're winning this because we believe you're the one to go forward with it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of imposter syndrome still around that. But, you know, there was enough doubt in the room, I think, during the Rumble match that any idea before what people thought didn't matter. You know, people had their picks and a lot of people were saying me, but I think that during the match, you could hear in the audience that people were doubtful that it was going to happen. And that was more important than anything, because it doesn't matter who you pick, it's the feeling that you have during the time as it's happening. And that was, you know, good in hindsight that people were doubtful, because when I did win, the roof came off the place, which was really nice to hear, because you never know if people are actually going to care about you. You can never guarantee, especially in indie wrestling, like, you know, when you're on TV week to week, if someone is cared about one week, the chances are they're going to walk out 100% next time they're going to care about. But you can never guarantee that someone in indie wrestling is going to be cared about, especially because I've been gone for, like, you know, nearly 2 months. But it was nice to see that, yeah, people still cared when I won.
No, for sure. And again, I think like you say, the pop when you won encapsulates that. And the other moment, I think, is again a few weeks ago when you had that match with Robbie, and not just when you won, but your ring entrance as well. You come out and that crowd is on fire for you. Like, that was so loud. Like, even watching at home, like just through like YouTube, like it was crazy. Like, I was like, oh my God, like,
yeah, that's all them. That's all them, man. I mean, I'm just happy that I'm someone that, you know, they can look at and connect with. But at the end of the day, that those people brought that energy that night, and whatever, you know, people had been going through work that week, and, or, you know, whatever problems or whatever rubbish that they'd left behind at the door, they came in and, you know, got all their energy out. And I'm just glad that I was the person that they decided to when I came out and walked through that curtain.
Is it tough for you, like, to stay in that moment, like to stay sort of like focused in character in that zone when you're just standing there in the ring and they're serenading you like that?
No, I think that it almost fuels me so much more. I think I would find it harder if they weren't, you know, I mean, I guess specifically in that moment when they were singing the song, it was kind of hard to lock in, as it was such a beautiful moment. But I think that my reaction in the ring was as organic as it could be, you know. I don't ever like truly plan an entrance or anything like that. It all just happens naturally. And credit to Jax Jordan, our PWA production manager, who he was the one that had cued in to pause the song and let the crowd go. So I can't take credit for that. That was all him. And, you know, Jax and the crowd created that moment. I just came out and was a part of the ride.
And it was a great ride. Again, like, fantastic, like almost like you say, like, obviously it's not the end of the story, but it felt like a perfect, like, culmination to the 8 months that you've had since the start of 2025. It felt like the perfect, this is what that 8 months has all been building to.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that, you know, the crowd singing that song really kind of wraps it up in a bow, because at the end of the day, my journey has been so reliant on the audience and our crowd. I don't think I would be where I am. And I genuinely mean that. This isn't something that I'm trying to say as a good guy to get fan support or what I think I should say. Ever since I started in PWA, it's always been the fans' reactions towards me that have gotten me where I am. I think, like, I'm a pretty good wrestler, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the best in the world. But I know that there's a connection that I have with people that has transcended wrestling for me, that I think has pushed me over the line and gotten me to this point. And I'm so grateful that people connect with me on that level. And, you know, I'm just appreciative of the PWA fans who've come out and done that.
No, I love that. And that's perfectly said as well. I want to ask as well then, before we get into our closing feature, Like, again, you are the Soul of PWA champion. But whether it's you, whether it was Robbie before you, whether it's anyone else who's held the belt or will hold the belt, what does being the Soul of PWA mean? Like, what does that person need to encapsulate, to have in your mind to be the Soul of PWA?
I think the Soul of PWA Championship, it has 2 eagles on the side plates, which at its core represents Madison Eagles, who pretty much built what we see here in PWA, but also is a foundational member of like the creation of Australian wrestling and putting us on the map. I think the person who the Soul of PWA in their wrestling travels, social media, whatever it may be, has to embody that same attitude and spirit. It's not just about being the best wrestler, but it's about being the person that is going to showcase us to the world and represent PWA and Australian wrestling at its core to the entire world.
No, I love that. I love that. And that brings us nicely into our closing feature. We did some dirt on the locker room earlier. Now we're going to get to know a little bit more about you, the Tuckman, because this is called Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler. It's essentially what makes you you. So again, I'm going to list you off some questions and you let me know what comes to mind.
Cool.
So the first one is, what is your favorite post-pinfall pig out?
Post-pinfall pig out?
Yeah.
Oh, like Korean fried chicken with some sticky rice. Oh, so good.
Yeah. That's a great shout. That's something that no one has ever said.
I actually got that after the Rumble. After the hour-long Rumble, I walked out across the road with this Korean fried chicken place. Oh, my goodness. Oh.
It's just it's just over the road from the venue.
Yeah, just the Metro Theatre. It's in the middle of Sydney CBD, and right across was this late-night Korean fried chicken place, and it was beautiful.
That is perfect. That's perfect placement as well. That's what you want. Like,
yeah. Don't tell my coach. Don't tell my coach. You know, he'll kill me, but...
No, you're allowed a little cheat after that. After winning the Rumble, come on. You got to replenish that energy, right?
Yeah, I think I burnt enough calories that night.
The next one, they're not all food-based, they're just the first 2 up. The next one is, it's the classic, like, what would your death row last meal be?
A Korean fried chicken gets a spot there. I'm sorry, I'm in love with it. I love Korean fried chicken. Some sticky rice. Let's go like a big frappe, like a big salted caramel frappe. Like I'm imagining like a Macca's frappe, but on steroids, you know, like caramel drizzle down the side, really going crazy there. Heaps of whipped cream on top. A nice caramel slice somewhere hanging around there, and some juicy garlic bread.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. It's the last meal. You got to go all out, right? You got to go all out.
You got to do everything, every calorie under the sun.
Love it. The next one is, I'll be interested to see if you can say what I think you're going to say for this. Is, what's the song that gets you the most hype?
I won't say Chelsea Duggar because that's too easy. That's too easy. So this is going to sound funny. It's going to sound funny, but there's these mixes on SoundCloud. I got introduced to them from a few members of the roster. They're called Big Booty Mixes. Now, the name of them sounds real funny, but they're like remixes of like the most popular songs of the last year, and it is fire. I've been listening to it before every single match. I'm telling ya, SoundCloud, Big Booty Mixes, they go for about an hour. So hype.
Some good endorsement there. I like it.
Yeah. The name sounds weird, but trust me, type it in on SoundCloud, it goes off.
It just seems like there's a little information missing in them, if I'm honest. Like, do you listen to it if you have a big booty, or do you listen to it if you like big booties? Like, that's...
Look, I don't think either. I just think that's the name of the artist. I think that's the name of the artist, unfortunately. So whoever that artist is has made me say that on a podcast live for the whole world to see.
And that's wonderful. That's what it's all about. That's why you...
I'm just sharing another artist's, information.
Amazing. No, I love it. I love it. The next one is, what is the movie that you share the locker room?
Damn. What I'd share in the locker room?
Yeah. But you get to a show like 3 hours early, and for some reason everyone else is already there. So you're like, all right, lads, we're watching this movie.
I like a bit of motivation, but I'm also emotional as well. So like emotional motivation, I'd put on like The Blind Side. Like pull on the heartstrings, get everyone like a tear rolling. Because once the tears start rolling, that's when the fire comes out,
Yeah, really release the emotion, like you say. Yeah, I like it. That's good thinking. The next one's a bit of a throwback because it's what was your first job?
Oh, Pizza Hut when I was 12. I don't think it was legal.
I was gonna say that seemed a bit young. You said that.
Yeah, it was illegal. I was not allowed to be working for that. But hey, I was just grateful to have a job.
And especially at 12, I imagine, like, again, like you say, it's definitely not allowed. But as a 12-year-old making the sort of money that, like, again, sort of 16-year-olds are making, you're like, oh, hell yeah. Like,
They weren't paying me a legal amount either. So
okay.
it was all very illegal. But hey, Pizza Hut, just hopefully you're not doing that anymore.
No, hopefully not. Fingers crossed. But again, as a 12-year-old, maybe working around pizza is probably a pretty good job. You're like, oh, look at all this pizza.
Great experience. It was a fantastic experience.
Yeah. The next one gets a little deep. It's what is your greatest fear?
Becoming lazy.
Sure.
That's my biggest fear. Becoming complacent and, you know, being happy with wherever I am. You know, I think that's my biggest fear because that's the day that you stop progressing, and that's the worst thing. I know that's a bit like heavy and philosophical. It's not like spiders or heights or anything like that, but I'm not really scared of anything except for that.
No, sure. I get that. I totally get that. The next one is what is your favorite animal?
I love lemurs.
Cute. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to move it. But yeah, when I were in lockdown, I feel like everyone had their thing, but they went like deep diving on and researched really hard. Lemurs were my thing. I love lemurs.
So you got all that knowledge up there now?
A little bit. You know, not as much as I did back in 2020, but there's still some left over.
That's going to be the next viral, right? You had is it Lily who went on Mastermind and did the ZSJ?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mine's
going to be yours. Your one's going to be lemurs. You're going to go on Mastermind. Just know everything about lemurs, and you're going to wow.
I like it.
The next one is the next one's the only wrestling one on the list. Is what is your favorite match stipulation, either to be in or to watch?
Oh, let me think. Oh, I love being in a lumberjack. But I've got to be a lumberjack, not being in the ring, being a lumberjack. I love being.
Oh, okay.
I've been in a few lumberjacks in my time. I love it.
Just the chaos you can cause.
Yeah, chaos you can cause. You're also like usually just hanging out with your mate on the side. Usually watching one of your mates wrestle. So you're just having a good timing. Fans are behind you. You're just like low responsibility, lots of fun. You just get to interact with the crowd. Like it's all like the fun parts of wrestling without any of the stress.
I was going to say you basically just get a front row seat to the match.
That's it, pretty much, right? Yeah.
Love it. There's only a couple more. The next one is what is your favorite place in the world?
Dubbo, 2030. Like my hometown. Best place in the world.
What's so special about it?
It just reminds me of growing up. My family's there, you know, that's where my roots are. It's honestly like, I think if I didn't grow up there, I probably wouldn't love it so much because it really is just a country town in the middle of New South Wales. But I don't know, just like every time I go there, reminds me of like being a young wrestling fan, being a kid and like having all these big crazy dreams. And sometimes when I get caught up in the mix of it and I'm always thinking about the next thing, going back there really reminds me of like, you know, how far I've come and, you know, my goals are a lot closer than I think they are compared to, you know, when I was a young kid hanging out at home watching DVDs and stuff, you know?
No, I love it. I love that. And then the final one then is what is your dream holiday destination?
Oh. Stanford, Connecticut, sign on a piece of paper.
That's a pretty sweet holiday. That is a pretty sweet holiday.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Do you enjoy the sights? Then you end up in this office. You're like, oh, hello. What am I doing next?
Yeah. Whoever watches this I'm going to cop it for that, but it's a good one.
That brings us to the end of the recording, and nearly to the very end of the show. Tuckman, it's been great to have you here. It's been great chatting. It's been great to see the year you've had and all you've been doing. I hope you've enjoyed your time here.
No, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it, and thanks for spreading the good word of Aussie wrestling.
No, of course, absolutely. I have one final question for you before we wrap up. And this is not a question that I've thought of because we have a closing feature here on the show where our last guest leaves a question for our next guest without any context of who they're leaving it for. So this person didn't know they were leaving you a question. You're not allowed to know who left you the question. It's all a completely out of context question. So the question you've been left is, I guess this depends on what sort of thing you're into, but the question you've been left is, if you were to wrestle in a cosplay, what cosplay would it be?
Probably like Buzz Lightyear, I think. Yeah, because Buzz would like, I don't know, he just have like an OP. I feel like Buzz would be OP if he was like a wrestler. You know, especially with I don't know if you'd get disqualified for the wings to clip out, but you know,
Yeah, that's attacking anyone. Oh yeah,
you know, his suit, you know, he's kind of just indestructible, you know.
I kind of like that. I think that's good. I'd tell you what, like, just putting this out there. If you and Scott want to do like in the next sort of like, I don't know, Halloween show or something where you can dress up Buzz and Woody as like the dropouts of Buzz and Woody, crowd would go mad for that.
We did Shaggy and Scooby once, so
you did.
It's not too far. It's not too far.
You should, yeah. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. Well, Tuckman, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you here. That does bring us to the end of recording. And to the final word, which we always leave to our guests. So, as the close, for anyone who sees the Tuckman on a show near them, wants to check you out, sees a match on YouTube, or hopefully when you come over to here or back out to America, wherever you might be, if someone sees you on a match card, on a show near them, and comes to check you out, why is the Tuckman going to steal the show?
Because I'm the funnest person in the room and I can connect with people on a different level that nobody else can. You know, everyone can wrestle whatever style they want to do, but no one brings the energy like I do.